Travellers, my name's Tom, this is The Bunker, and today we're going to look at our journal number 2. So welcome to journal number 2. So today we're 3 sessions in, we finished our first sort of main adventure, and it's time to talk about the blunders, random shootings, black brain bugs, and various other mishaps that have happened to us so far. So I really hope you enjoy this. Traveller is something we're really loving playing. We're really privileged to be playing at Mongoose Publishing, the actual publishers of Traveller 2nd edition, and Kat is our GM. You may have seen her on some of their actual YouTube videos. She's one of the designers involved with the actual project, so we're really privileged who we have to play. I hope you enjoy. Subscribe for more. Let's talk about session 2. So we essentially were created the best crew in the galaxy. If you've not checked out our crew creation video, do check that out now. And and now we're going to talk about how we ended up as 1 dice roll away from a total party kill. But let's talk about our crew. Who are we? We have Dr. Smith. He's a crazy genius scientist with a nefarious purpose. We have Brigadier General Dick Darling, who is our ship's mascot, affectionately named. He brings the guns, he brings the heavy ordnance. He's a mad ex-military veteran general who has shelled people across countless worlds, and he brings the heavy firepower. We have Bert Hanno, a disgraced naval officer. Bert, is he on a path for redemption, or is he in fact a coward at heart? Who will know? Maybe Blinky will. Blinky is our one-eyed Vigear, the talker of the group who often gets us into trouble. Blinky is a cool character, and we've had some cool interactions because of him. Robert Beck, Pirate Lord. Robert Beck, infamous pirate who wishes he was a lord. And his faithful shotgun Cassandra. He deals with the wet work, the killing, the murdering, the smuggling, and we can all agree that he is in fact the hero of the party. We will also meet our 6th crew member, and it's quite a person, I'm going to tell you now, but we'll get on to them later on. So we all started in quite a familiar place to all travellers out there, Low Berth. Low Berth, for those that don't know, if you don't have the credits, you can actually travel in Low Berth, and it means that you are essentially frozen. You're in popsicle, an ice pop, or a lolly, as we call it in the UK. It's cryogenetically sleeping, essentially, and it's a cheap way of travelling around the various sectors and so on and so forth. So we all had charted passage, and as we can tell now, things don't always go to plan. So our first adventure, we were essentially in a deep freeze. Now, we're on our way to pick up the Raven J, which is Dr. Smith's ship. Now, the Raven J has been left on a planet somewhere by Scout Services and is in lockdown. Left on Woolston. Familiar name for quite a lot of you, I know. And to get to Woolston, we have to chart a passage to a stop-off point, which is what we're on now for the first adventure. So we thought, great, let's get that chartered passage. Low berth, fair enough, easy on the creds. That's all good for me. Let's get to where we're going and begin our life of adventure amongst the stars. Or so we thought. So we've chartered passage from Flamorian, stopping off a backwater port known as 567908. And we're going to continue our travels on from there to Woolston, where the Raven J has been left in perfect condition for us to pick up. It's Traveller, and there's always a hitch. Bert and Blinky awoke first. Deep freeze coming out. They made the best endurance rolls, basically. So they woke first. Life support on this ship is dead. It is dead. There is no life support, there is no power from what we can see, and things are defrosting. So as the rest of the crew are coming out of their various states of hypersleep, a bit disorientated, so on and so forth, it ain't a pretty things open up like in Alien. This is people throwing up and falling over and all things like that. There's no gravity on, and we straight away know there's something seriously wrong here. The ship has closed irises, and they're the doorways, so we had to struggle to open these up. As you can imagine, it's quite a technical thing. So some rolls for all of the players: strength, endurance, intelligence, see how you can bypass things like that. And we decided to explore the ship, starting with engineering. Bodies everywhere. There's been evidence of gunfire, but not necessarily gunfights. Spent shell casings, bodies that are riddled with bullets, bodies that don't have any bullets in them, so on and so forth. As we progress through this, we come across all different challenges and things, including black brain parasites and zombie-like creatures who want to melt your mind. Now, I'm not going to spoil this, guys, and the reason is that this is actually part of a JTAS adventure, which is coming out very soon. We were very lucky in that Kat has written this adventure for JTAS, and we were the unwitting guinea pigs. And we put in a solid 9% performance for her here. We basically missed the majority of the story, panicking to survive. That being said, I don't want to spoil it for her. What I can say from what we played is it was brilliant. A really fantastic way of introducing people that have never roleplayed before in some instances to the world of Traveller. And I strongly advise everybody out there, when JTAS is out, go out and buy it. You are not going to be disappointed by this adventure. And just imagine the heroic pirate Robert Beck saving the day. One of the things that I can tell you is that we escaped in the ship's raft. So we actually left the Fateful Wanderer, as the vessel was called, behind. And with it, we left all of our components and all of our bits to fix the Raven J. Not ideal. However, Robert Beck, being the pirate that he is, as we were exploring, and people thought, we better go around and check the bridge to make sure none of these creatures can spread to other worlds. Robert Beck thought, he's going to have a look in these boxes. So he went and had a look in all the boxes. Found 1.5 million credits of anagatics. Yeah! I don't want to spoil the rest of the surprise as to what happened on the crew. Check out the adventure when it comes out, Kat. It was such a privilege, Kat, for you to take us through it. And we totally missed the majority of your hard work, and we really apologise for that. But we did escape, and nobody died. So we essentially took the ship's raft, the air raft in the ship. We made it airtight, and we drifted off flew to 567908, which is the stop-off point. Now, this place has absolutely nothing in it. Nothing. It's like a box in the middle of nowhere. And more experienced players out there will recognise it from the adventure series or the adventure module High and Dry, which is a phenomenal way of starting off your party. And having seen Kat adapt it with one of her works and then change it as she went along, absolutely. GMs out there, High and Dry, pick it up, it's brilliant. I'm not going to spoil High and Dry because there were so many different alterations for us that I don't think it's really going to make much of a difference. And when you've got people that are going off doing random things, you know. So, Planet 567908 is pretty naff. There's nothing there. We were graced by Roger, the port manager. Now, we explained what happened to the Hopeful Wanderer. We don't know what happened there. And why we arrived on a raft. Told him we couldn't find the ship. We don't have the transponder code. We totally messed up the first adventure. We basically just floated out of it in a box, hoping to survive. But we thought, I know, let's get the transponder codes and try and get our equipment back. And maybe get Roger and the local militia, if there is such a thing, or anyone that he knows, to come and help. Didn't happen. There's nothing there. There's no militia. Nothing. So we decided, as all good groups do, let's get smashed. So we ended up with in the bar, which was run by Butch, who was I believe, a Vargia barman, and he had this special drink which we all tried, and it floored people in one hit. Apart from Robert Beck, who managed to double six boxcar and endurance roll and drink a shot of it. What can you say when you're a legendary pirate? Now, one of the things that we decided to do was, because the port manager was so drunk, we thought, let's break into his office, steal the transponder codes for the incoming ships, and then we can go back at some point in time and find the Fateful Wanderer. Now, in theory, this was great, and Robert Beck slipped away during the night, as you do, from the party when everyone was getting drunk, and raided the place good and properly, made an absolute mess, chucked everything up in the air, all this sort of thing. Found multiple pages of transponder codes, went back to the gathering, and gave Bert Hannon the nod, who was pretending to drink, and we took Roger, the port manager, who was absolutely paralytic by this time. We took him to his office, threw him in the door, wrecked the place, and made him think that in a drunken frenzy he'd destroyed everything. Security cameras are a thing in Traveller that we didn't realise. Fail is all I'm going to say. So the next day we thought we better scarper pretty quickish off this planet. There was nothing to do. So during the previous day, some of the group had gone up to the local observatory and met this crazy Back to the Future style crackpot who was looking at the stars. Took some of his research, took a little black cube, which none of us know what it is. Please don't spoil it if you do know what it is. And yeah, we thought it's time to leave. Yeah, we are leaving, people. And we were waiting for our next ship to come in. Amazing. So we're leaving the planet with our lives, a few credits, some good memories, a lot of fun. But most importantly, the transponder code to the Hopeful Wanderer. Which the plan is that in the future we'll go back and get our equipment, or perhaps just rob the ship, one or the other. We went to an awful lot of trouble to find this code and ended up still having used it, but that's by the by. I think that's roleplay in general and Traveller in general. So the next day we slipped on board our chartered ship to Woolston, which was an interesting ship, captained by Monty, an old space dog. Imagine Captain Birdseye from the UK, but in science fiction land. And his ship was called the Evanescence because he was really obsessed with an old Terran band from centuries ago, which was quite a nice little thing, and he traded in rare music and finds. So during the weeks that it took us to get there, we were actually discussing with him, built a sort of through roleplay, had quite a good relationship with him and his wife. It turns out that Monty was a pirate out of thief. an old hand, an old pirate out of thief. And he was heading back to the Trojan Reach. We may or may not have had a bag full of 1.5 million credits worth of anagatics. We decided to do a deal with Monty in that, hey, I can't land, or we can't land on any civilised spaceport with this bag of drugs and not go to prison forever, or just be gunned down. So what we wanted Monty to do, and he agreed to, is that he's going to take this bag of drugs, or this bag of anagatics, I think they're called, to thief, sell it, and he's going to wire us 300,000 credits. Great. I've got his transponder code to his ship. In 10 weeks' time, we'll see. He's a pirate, but it's cool. If we have to go to thief, I'm all up for it. So we'll see what happens. Now, we may have been had by Monty. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens there, but it's a nice plot hook moving forward. So we arrive in Woolston. So we decide to, at the spaceport, again, there's not a great deal there. We have to get to Central Lake, which is the main city. Now, this is straight up high and dry. And you basically, we decided to try and go and speak to the mayor or someone that's in some sort of point of power and may be able to help us locate the Raven Chair. So we went there. The mayor was busy, as you can imagine. We got one of his aides who came out and just went, oh, I'm ever sorry, we do know where the ship is. It's been left by scout service on top of a mountain. Now, it's a dormant volcano, and they've left the ship on top of the mountain. There was a survey team, and they all scarpered off. So we thought, and they never finished the job. So I tell you what, if you go and get your ship and you finish off this job, I'll give you 3,000 credits ahead. Anything for credits, you're on train and got to see the sights and had a look around. Bypassed all the shops because we're complete fools, we didn't buy anything. And we got to one of the local outposts, which was near the mountain. Mount Salvery, the local outpost was called Barvin. Now, Barvin was a bit of a hick town, it's probably the nicest way of putting it. And we encountered for the first time there locals that didn't like Vargiers, who thought them as a second-class citizen, which was quite shocking for us as a group. And it was the first time we'd openly discovered the fact that there are politics and there are different beliefs throughout the galaxy in Traveller, and it was quite an interesting way, and it was really well handled. And we went back for revenge, don't you worry about that. Now, we decided to climb up Mount Salvery in the daylight, because this mountain is massive. It's massive. You're not getting up that mountain in a day, it's taking you days. So we bought some climbing kits, various bits and pieces from town. We even found a local Vargier called Johnson, who was a farmer, who had once attempted to climb the mountain and never made it. So no one has ever made this climb. People die on this mountain. Johnson's kid was killed on the mountain. And he wouldn't really tell us why, but he did say if you find his body, we'll give you £5,000. That never happened. Because as we were moving along up the mountain, we soon realised that it's not just the climb that'll kill you, but the local creatures as well. These things are giant scorpion-y like things with tails that come out of the ground and do massive damage if they hit you. Robert Beck got ambushed by one. He seemed to be the only person that could actually pass any climbing rolls as well, which is quite interesting. So Robert Beck went first. Don't even have climb as a skill. Went first and managed to traverse all the way to the top of this difficult sheer area. He got to the top, and as he threw a rope down, waiting for the others, this creature attacked him. Now, Robert Beck loves his gun. He loves his shotgun called Cassandra, and Cassandra dealt with this thing in one hit. So it was like, boot down, blam. It was just like the bit out of Aliens where he just pins a facehugger with a table and blows it away. It was like that, but even cooler. While the rest of them were climbing up, the issue that we found was not only the creatures that are dangerous, but the mountain itself could pretty much kill you. So Bert and Binky both fell. Bert hurt himself quite badly. Binky, however, snake eyes a climbing roll and literally just went, splat, for 12 damage. So Binky was almost dead at this point, so we had to sort of fashion a way of getting this person, getting him up the mountainside. Once we all met where Beck was, we decided this is actually a good point to sort of create some form of a camp, do a bit of healing, and plan to what we're actually going to do to get to the next stage. So during this point, it took us 2.5 days to get from where Robert Beck was to the top of the mountain. And Beck led the way with he seemed to just have excellent climbing rolls. Now, anyone that knows me, my rolls are awful. So how I managed to climb up this mountain is beyond me, but there you go. Now, as he got to the top, climbed to the top, he put his hands over, and he looked out to the top, and this is what he saw. See, there's an island in the middle, so there's a volcanic island. It's an island in that it would be the land, and it's just that the water has settled across the top. And in the middle was a ship, a Morava-class far trader called the Raven J. Woo! We found it. So the water was around, you know, and it took us a while. We sort of fashioned out, are we just going to wade through this, swim through this, what are we going to do? So we just swam through it in the end. The general stayed back to provide cover with his weaponry. Myself, Bert, Hanno and Binky managed to make it across, and we started searching the local area in the ship. Now, now we were fully aware that the ship was abandoned. However, so the only life form we could see was a dog, and it was a dog, and it was running about, and it was starving. So Binky started feeding it and looking after it. As we moved further into the Raven J, we noticed that one of the low berths was actually powered still. Now, do you remember I told you I have a 6th member of the crew? This was a really interesting way of adding an extra character in. So we defrosted this thing, and Binky with his defrosting almost killed this guy before he even got to take part. Now, enter exotic space wildlife curator Joseph Unusual. Joseph is an interesting character, to say the least. Quite eccentric and brought some incredible comedy and humour to the session, and he's joined our crew permanently, and he's going to be really interesting. We're actually thinking that the crew may be exotic animal dealers, but we'll see. So Just Unusual was found in this low berth. We have no idea where he was, how he got there, or what was going on at all. However, we found out that he was actually incredibly intelligent and could help with a lot of the repairs. Now, as we were looking around the area, we decided to actually go and finish off the survey, because we were getting paid £3 a head, hey, for this, which would be absolutely amazing. So we set off, we split the party, and some of us went off to set the explosives, others didn't, and we basically had a few days of repairing the ship, setting the explosives off for the seismic events that we needed to track. We wired it all to a remote holder, and yeah, we thought great. However, and this may be a point, if you've not played High and Dry, you may want to skip this next bit. So, the volcano's not dormant. There's rumblings and ash and smoke and all this sort of thing. And it turns out that this volcano is in fact active, and it is detonating, in the direction of the town. Now, it's interesting to think, would you save a town full of people that hate one of the races as part of your crew? Now, there were some frantic repair rolls and frantic issues, and we set the explosive off to get the seismic reading so we could get paid and so on and so forth, and we set in the Raven J. Robert Beck sat down and kicked it firmly to try and actually get it to take off, which we managed, so we got it airborne. This was one hell of a flight. Lightning bolts, boulders falling down, magma, explosions, all of these issues. Now, there's lots of ways you can survive this, and there's lots of ways you can go about that. We did none of them. We decided that the best thing we could do was go to the town, land in the middle, open the door and say, come on, get on board. We're going to save as many people as we can because we're just massive heroes. As we were landing there, Bert Hanno went to the back door and he used his leadership abilities and he was saying, come on, get on board, quick, get on board. We're going to save as many of you as we can. And we got about 20 to 40 people on board, closing the door suddenly, cutting people in half with the doors. It was brutal. It was horrific. It was all down to pilot Robert Beck, who sat there. He needed to make a 12 difficulty roll to take off in time before this magma flow hit. And we were rolling, helping rolling, and the timer was going down. The last roll, he did it. 12. It was a Han Solo moment, straight out of the explosion. And we even managed to pilot that straight through that pub where we'd encountered all of the people that hated Binky, and we slaughtered all of them on the way out. So it was win-win-win. Now, this didn't really help. The state of the ship, the ship's knackered basically. So we flew back, limped it back to the central city. We landed, the mayor came out and said, oh my word, that volcano's exploded. The town said, look mate, the town's dead. They're all dead, Jim, they're dead. And what we've done, because we're the heroes that we are, is we've rescued 27 people where we didn't need to. And we've also completed a seismic experiment, so that's £3,000 ahead, please. But because we've rescued all those people, how about you fix our ship for us and we'll call it even? And you know what? He agreed. So the mayor's team fixed the ship up. We had a couple of weeks of downtime, which was amazing. We got to buy some new guns. So I Robert Beck picked up a pair of one-shot shotgun guns, just because that's cool. And he got a duster, a pirate's hat, and a purple waistcoat, just because, you know, pirate. The other guys bought various different weaponry. We started doing up our rooms. Cassandra's got its own gun hook in there. I'm really excited to see what happens moving forward. Binky decided that, hey, we're now going on in our adventures. Let's see if we can take some cargo somewhere. So he went out and organised a cargo from a guy who said, hey, yeah, you guys are going back to Flamorian to take Joseph Unusual where he was travelling to see what happened with him. 8 tons of food, 10 tons of electronics, and 5 tons of cybernetics. Now, if you get there, if you get it there on time, I'll pay you 11,000 credits. So we thought, easy money. Also, we filled 4 low berths with travellers for 8,000 credits. We thought, this is it. 19 grand just for taking this guy we've met in the leopard print home. Winner. So we piloted up, we started the ship, we calculated everything. We rolled for that first jump. Massive miss jump. It was crazy. There was things exploding, things going off. The first jump we ever did in this ship, it's typical that the first jump we ever did in this ship was a massive misfire. And we ended up in orbit around a planet called Mithril. Now, some of you will know Mithril from the world. Please don't spoil anything if you do. That is where we ended our first adventure. Massively off course. We can't get this cargo to where we need to get it in time, so we're now liable for 1.7 million credits. It's going really well, as you can tell. And we're now orbiting Mithril, and there is no response to our communications, and that's where we left things. So there you go. That's the first adventures for the crew of the Raven J. At least we have the ship now, and we have a 6-member, and we're really looking forward to seeing what happens now going forward. We've all agreed that we want to continue travelling because it is amazing. It's a brilliant game. Thank you to Mongoose Publishing. Thank you to Kat. The work you put into this is amazing, and what you put up with from us is probably even more so. So thank you very much. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Share with me your traveller tales. You know, what's happened, what have you come across, what cool things have happened to you, and so on and so forth. It'd be amazing to get a bit of that back and forth going. But until next time, travellers, stay safe, stay well, and happy hobbying.